If your goals make sense to everyone, they're too small. All the quotes that I put at the beginning of the video, it's pretty much from people that achieve great things in life and they believed in themselves, and to a certain extent or to a major extent, they had a supreme amount of delusion in them. Muhammad Ali, Oprah, Henry Ford, everyone had a different type of belief in themselves that led them to where they are. And I truly believe that, well, actually I experienced it. The more delusional you are, the more self belief you have in yourself, you can really manifest and create the life that you want for yourself. And I'm not just saying this, I've experienced it myself. Even getting out the military at the time, I was 22 years old. I really didn't have any job experience outside of just working in the medical field. And I mean, that's a good amount of job experience, but I didn't really have enough to just jump out into the world and do what I wanted to do because I didn't even want to keep working in the medical field. I wanted to work in tech. I wanted to be in cybersecurity, but I really didn't have anything other than a certification and like a couple years in military experience working in the hospital. But to go into the tech field, a lot of jobs, especially cybersecurity jobs, they want you to have like 3 to 4 years of experience, and that's just a lot of jobs in general. It's like entry level positions are 3 to 4 years. They want you to have a degree. I didn't have my degree finished at the time. Didn't have any experience. I just had my certification, but in my brain, I'm like, okay, I have a certain life I want to live. The military's done me good, but it's not gonna get me where I want to be, and I want more out of life. So I'm like, all right, bet. I'm gonna just take that leap of faith, and whatever happens, happens. I know I'm gonna land a job, and I know I'll be able to pay my rent. So I ended up in Austin. I left Vegas and I moved to Austin. And when I got to Austin, I thought I had a job lined up at the time, but that job ended up going MIA on me. Ended up going MIA on me, and I remember I'm scrambling around. I'm looking for jobs. I'm applying everywhere. I remember at one point I was submitting like 20 to 30 applications a day, but I'm applying for like all types of just like supervision, medical supervision jobs, medical staff, just any type of administrative jobs, just stuff that I think I can get because, I was just doing this in the military and I was getting interviews, and I was really just getting a lot of people that was just interested in talking to me because they never seen a resume like mine. It's like, oh, you lived over here and you went overseas to the Middle East, and they just wanted to hear my story, but no one wanted to actually offer me a job. So it was kind of getting to me at a point, and I remember I ended up landing like a little contracting job where I was working at the front desk, just making 15 an hour. But in my brain, I'm like, I didn't like the supervision. They didn't like me going to school. And I'm thinking, I didn't get out the military to make 15 an hour. Like, I want more. Like, I used to supervise the front desk, and now I'm working at the front desk, getting told what to do and getting told that I can't sit at the front and read in between patients. And it was just kind of pissing me off. And I remember I quit that job because I'm like, I can get a better job. So I ended up finding one maybe a few months later. And this next job, it was paying me 18 an hour. And I remember like in between then, I think I applied for like I was doing 30 applications a day. I'm just like, I need more, I need more. Like I deserve this. Like I think I interviewed for a job that's paying like 20 something an hour. It's a women's health job. And I remember like me and the hiring manager, we got along so good, and she started showing me around, showing me the team, and she let me shadow them for like a little bit. But I remember she was saying like, yeah, we need more men in here because it was a women's health clinic. She's like, yeah, we need a male presence, and you'll be a great addition, and this, and that. And I was actually excited to work there because it was like, wow, I always wanted to work in that type of environment. Like it's real, like welcoming. She called me back and said, yeah, we went ahead and just went with this lady here. She had a degree that we wanted, and this, and that. She didn't have any experience, but she had a degree. But in my head, I'm like, I have all this experience. I deserve this job. So I interviewed for a couple more spots. I landed another job at another front desk, making 18 an hour this time. And the entire time I'm in class, and balancing class, school, whatever girl I was seeing at the time, I was going to see her during my lunch breaks, and I'm just trying to build a business on the top. I'm trying to build a business on the side too because in my brain I'm like, I need more. Like I have a certain life that I envisioned when I got out, and I feel like I'm moving further and further away. Like I'm not getting to that tech job. I'm not living the life I want to live. I went from making $1,800 in the military every paycheck to I'm barely I'm barely getting like 1,000 a paycheck. Like I forgot how much those paychecks was. It really wasn't nothing, but it was whatever 18 an hour is times like I'm barely getting 40 hours because I'm going to class, just enough to make some rent. So I ended up quitting that job because I was falling behind in school, and I'm like, this ain't worth it. Like I got my GI Bill, I might as just rock out with this. And I remember, I think I ended up getting a call back. It was a government job. I'm gonna just say that, working at a clinic, and I remember I think I got offered 40,000, and I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And I remember during the interview went real good, and then the hiring manager he was like, yeah, you got all this military experience, you should ask for, this GS step whatever. And I was like, okay, bet. And it was like maybe $5,000 more than I would have been making with the default salary. But I was like, all right, I'm cool with that. Like, it's something. Like, you trying to look out for me. And then I remember when I got on the phone with the lady to accept the offer, she was like, oh, no, you can't negotiate. And I was like, yeah, I can. But I easily could have just, like, backed off, like, oh, no. But I was told by the guy, like, you know, you should negotiate. So she's like, well, I'll put it in and we'll see. And she put it in, and then it worked. And I remember I got my first paycheck. When I got my first paycheck, it was after working like a couple weeks. Mind you, I'm working at the front desk of like a mental health clinic or something like that. Well, I'm working at the front desk of a mental health clinic. And I remember all types of crazy patients coming in all day. Like it's it's just wild. I had to tell the stories in another video. But I remember like one time, I remember when I got my first paycheck, it was $1,100, and at the time I'm like, it's some bullshit. So I text my dad. I'm like, you see this? Like, this my paycheck was only 1,100. He was like, yeah, that sound about right. I'm like, no, it can't be, because I was just making this over here in the military. But at the time, I didn't even realize some of your military income is like not taxed because the allowances, they're not taxable, so your paychecks are a lot bigger. I was making like 55,000 in the military. I think this job was like 40 something thousand. It was only like 10,000 less, but like my checks were like so much smaller. And in my brain, I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me to work this hard for this little bit of money. Like I really didn't have the right, and I didn't even have the right to even demand more money. But in my brain, I'm like, I deserve more money. Like I don't like this. And my dad was like, no, you tripping. But I'm like, no, I can't do this. Like this some bullshit. I ain't going for this. So I remember at one point, I'm sitting in my truck in the parking lot at lunch. Like I'm damn near in tears. Like I'm just like, this ain't it. This isn't why I got out the military. And in my brain, I'm like, I deserve more. And I remember, when I finally, made the decision to quit it, I had got into it with the staff at the front desk, because I was on my phone, but it was in between patients and all that, and it was like a cool guy at the front. I thought it was like a cool older black dude. He kind of said what up to me. I'm like, what's up? We kind of chopped it up for a little bit. But then later on, they kind of came back around. They were like, yeah, we've been hearing that you've been on your phone at the front and blah, blah, and we just need to talk to you about it because, it's not acceptable and this, and that. And I'm like, uh, they were saying that I did it in front of patients, but there are no patients around. So I'm like, so who said it? And they're like, oh, we're not going to tell you. I was like, I know who it was, because the thing is like, immediately after this person left and I was at the front on my phone, I get called to the back about phone usage, and I'm like, that's some bullshit. Like y'all know who said it, so I just want to know. Like just tell me. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like I get off my phone, but it's just like I just think it's kind of crazy how someone would come up and just be like, just talking to you, trying to ask you about your life, where you came from, how was the military, this, and that, and they go back and say, yeah, he was on his phone, by the way, and I'm just like, wow. But that part don't really matter that much. And I remember they used to say like I could eat my food at the front. 'Cause I remember I used to walk around the corner to eat my little food. I was like, oh no, it's okay, you can eat at the front. And I remember I ate at the front one time, and then like it became this whole big deal. It's like, why are you eating at the front? But that's just like stories for another time. But it was just like a lot of just work semantics, just dumb stuff to get in your head because it's like they can control you because you don't got a choice. You got to work for this check. So I had my breaking point, and I quit that job. And in my brain, I was like, I want to work in tech. I'm going to work in tech. I want to make six figures. I didn't get out the military to work a medical job. I'm not doing this. I'm going to just go to school and I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get a job. And I remember I ended up moving. I moved to Houston. I transferred schools in Houston from where I was in Austin. And then I remember I think I had to be there all of like 2 weeks, and something just clicked in my brain. I'm like, oh, I gotta lock in. Like I ain't been like I need to get a job. Like the money started getting low, and I'm just like I need to figure something out. So I went to the career counselor, and he was like, yeah, you a veteran. They love you at the career fair, and really, I think it was like that following week that the career fair was, and I'm like, all right, I'm about to just lock in. Like I'm about to get a job. So I go in, like barely any preparation. I had my button up, and I'm like the first one in there. I had just wrote down whatever companies I saw, and I'm just running through, just talking to everybody. And then I think I got like a same day interview. I got a couple same day interviews, next day interviews. One job actually offered me like a full time position, like right then and there, but they wanted me to stop going to school until like 2028 or some shit like that. I'm like, I'm not doing that. But I remember I had got an offer from a company, and I ended up taking an internship, and my first internship paycheck was $5,400. So I went from $1,800 in the military to I had this little $500-$600 check in Austin to like an $800 check to $1,100 check that I was ungrateful for. Now my first internship check is $5,400. Mind you, this wasn't every check because they gave you allowance and all that. But after that, every check during the internship was like $2,700. And in my brain, I'm like, this is crazy. Like this is an internship. But that belief I had in myself, it led me to this point. Like if I had doubted myself, I wouldn't have gotten this job. I wouldn't even had applied for this job or walked up to the table because in my brain, I'm like, oh, they want someone with all this IT experience and all this other stuff. But me, I was like, I feel like people will want to work with me. Like, I feel like I can do whatever they're teaching. Like, I can just, whatever work they're doing, I feel like I could do. So I'm like, why not? So I just went in for it. I took that leap of faith and it paid off. And then fast forward, I got a full-time offer. My paychecks more than that. So I just think whatever you having doubts about, whatever life you want to live, the things you envision yourself doing, the places you want to be, that car you want, that apartment you want, the relationship you want, the clothes you want to wear, the way you want to move through life, the people that you want to hang out with, the friends that you want to bring up with you. I feel like all of this is possible. And really, just that little bit of belief in yourself, it can go a long way, because just believing in yourself in general, it'll just change the way you move. You start moving like you believe. Like once you envision it before you even get there. Like the Muhammad Ali quote, "I'm the greatest." I said that before I knew I was, and that's a real thing. If you go into something and you don't believe in yourself, it's probably not gonna happen. But it's just like what Kobe shoot every shot he shot, he thought it was going in. It's probably ridiculous, but I mean, you miss every shot you don't take. But that's all I really got. Moral of the story: be delusional.
Ted McLaren.